Good morning, YouTube. It is a beautiful spring day here at Wiki Up Knoll. Thanks for joining us again for the next update. We have lots going on. I don't know what we're going to get into for this video, but I know we're starting with the pole barn because we are on a mission to get this thing done ASAP. I just brought up some new clay. I also added this is the mix we use. It's like a sandier mix. It's kind of decomposing granite. It came from our house site dirt over there. And then I brought up some wash sand. So I have an option for a little bit finer mix than this. So I have 3 options to go through. John is cooking with oil over here on the door. We finally figured out the height and where it's all going to go. So he's working on bringing the header down to a finished level. We have all the lumber we need for that. He has backfilled up to, I think in the last video we talked about this. We made basically a track, a wood track here, and you can see it's got dirt in it. Obviously, this is a problem. So we'll be sweeping that out. We're preparing the inside here for the flooring, which we're going to go pick up in the next day or so, which will be stall mats. So it'll be like for horse stalls, a firm kind of place to stand and keep some of the dirt down. But it is a shed. It's a dirt building. So that's what we're doing. So I'll be working on cob. I've made it up to this level. Today's cob should go pretty well because I've got that the wood level back there. So it's a lot easier to stack the cob in, and it's sort of like a form that I'm using on the outside of the building. So I'll be doing that. More cob for me all the way around. While John was working on the garage door, I didn't work on this side as much. So you can see I've got kind of a gap to start filling over here. There's little Zip. She's outside. Ringo's out there too. They're enjoying being up here. So we're going to be working real hard in here today. I guess one of the objectives, John's going to be working on the last panel of the garage door, but also we've got some rain coming. So we're trying to get this wood rack done so we can get our stuff out of the rain and as soon as possible. So he's going to be working on some of this framing today as well. So hopefully you'll see some of that. We'll see how far we get in this video. We are on a mission to finish this building before the rains begin. I don't want to do another monsoon with all the stuff stored outside and disorganized. So that's what we're working on today. I appreciate you joining us. I hope you enjoy this progress as much as I think I'm going to enjoy the progress. We will check back in a little bit to see how far we're getting. Okay, you just saw John and I getting prepped. I have mixed my first batch of mud, which I'm going to put over here. That was yesterday's mud, and we're going to wet this down and go that way. I'll show you that in a minute. John's working on bringing down this header. I keep calling it a header. It's not really a traditional header. It's more like headspace for this garage door. I don't know really what to call it. But one trick I was going to show, he's using these little, most people know this maybe, but when you're working by yourself, it's nice if you don't have an extra hand to just put in a temporary board right there that you can balance whatever you need on. And the way he did that is he put the board up there, measured the distance, and then set this little holder board down there, and he put a clamp behind it as kind of a bookend or a backstop so it wouldn't fall that way, and it kind of holds it for him so he can fiddle around and get screws and do what he needs to do. So he's adding another 2x6 there. We're going to be facing this with a 2x4 so that all of this space up here is going to be filled with clay straw. And that is basically straw that's been soaked in pure clay and packed in, kind of like a ram berth. You take a board and you really pack it in tight. And then I'm going to face the front of it with more of this stucco mesh so that then I can come across here with my cob and lime plaster and plaster over the surface. And the straw, we're using straw, not hay, right? So straw has an R value, which this building doesn't, it's not going to be heated or anything, but let's see if I can show you and get my shadow in the way here. So straw is used more like animal bedding. It doesn't have the seed in it, so the animals aren't going to be after it to try to get in there and eat the walls, because there's not food. This isn't food quality for the animals, it's bedding. The birds love it for nests, mice like it for nesting, whatever, but we should have the mice pretty well sealed out with the plastering layers. So it'll have an R value, but the biggest thing for me is it'll be rough. It'll be a rough coat so that I can cob over it just like my other cob walls here. So that's what we'll be doing with that space. And then we'll be able to bring the cob around and down to this 2x4 that'll be on the bottom. And we'll be working on that. That's what he's doing right now while I do cob. And I just wanted to show that little trick right there. It's easy when you're working by yourself, which I'm just here giving him moral support while I play with mud, so not lending my hands. So I'll show you this part next, and we'll see what we continue to get into. Okay, so I'm going to keep on doing cob. John's going to keep on doing the garage door. Right now he's still attaching that lower board to make the kind of a fascia from the inside, a head space for the door. We're not using the spring that came with this door, but we have a pulley system that we're trying to prepare for with some of this framing as well. We're going to do a pulley system instead, we think. If not, well, we may go back to the spring. So I'm going to put you guys down and let you see. He's got to add one more panel to this door, and then after that he's got to kind of fiddle with the track system and make sure it's right. We still just have it temporarily chained up back here, so it's a little crooked. It's a little cockeyed coming in this way from the actual part that it's connected to. So we got to fiddle with that. He's gonna be doing that, and I am gonna continue making mud for the walls. I would say, incidentally, the cob walls have straw in them, and they are a little bit insulative, but mostly when you're dealing with earthen walls, you're dealing with not so much insulation quality, like an R value, like traditional insulation. You're dealing with a thermal mass, because the dirt, like you're in a cave, if you're in a cave, the soil, the earth, the dirt, the rocks absorb the heat from the sun in the day, and then they release it back. And also the thermal qualities of the earth that come up through the rocks and stuff. So here, our main wall with no windows or anything faces south, exactly due south. And so we're going to be absorbing radiant heat. The sun's going to be beating on it all day, and then through the night it will warm the space as the heat is released from this mass of soil and earth and this thermal mass. When I put the straw around the door, it's going to have an insulative quality. Not that it's going to do anything for us, because the door certainly doesn't have an insulative quality. It's just metal. But that's a practice for me for later other projects. If you do want something with an insulative quality, the technique I'm doing for the straw in these spaces will provide that. So it's a practice for me. It's a way to do it that's a little different than what I've done so far, and that's why we're going to do it that way. Okay, you just saw John put the final panel on. We've had it on a couple times on and off to practice it, and he's placed the last roller in here. And what he's done is now he's lowered the track down, because when we have the final panel in and we try to raise it, this curve was so high that the door didn't start to curve soon enough. It hit these rafters. So he's lowered it down to our original position where the track, hey Zip, they're coming in. Oh, hey Ringo, hi buddy. The track is below grade again, but the door is sitting in its little tray. So the door is hitting at the same level. What we're gonna have to do is still lower it more. So John's got his ruler and he's measuring and placing. Oh, Ringo's got, I gotta talk. He's given himself, basically he's marking along in like a ruler on the wall so that he can lower it in increments until we get it not to hit. And we're hoping that will work. But the trick is every time now that we lower this down, that roller is further into the curb. So the top panel will go further back as we lower the track. So we're gonna have to fiddle with it and see what happens. So I'll show you, John, if you want to open the door, I'll show you where it hits. Let me go on this side actually. Okay, I think I can see it. So he's raising it and then it hits right there. So it's hitting these rafters. So we're gonna try to lower this track down a little bit more now, maybe 2 inches, but we're gonna do it an inch at a time just to see where it can stop. So that's what we're working on. It's fiddly, but we're trying to avoid cutting the door. We could have ordered a door that was specific to this shape and size, but would have cost more and taken longer. We're trying to get this done before monsoon, and this was a very good deal. So we have to do, you can pay less money, which is great, but then you have to pay with more effort in figuring out how to retrofit it essentially to our specific needs. So we're going to make it work, and that's what we're doing. I'm going to let him keep going, and then we're going to check back in a little while. Okay, we have had lunch. I have another batch of cob mixed up. Got dirty hands. I'll be continuing on this wall. John's working over here right now too. He's just brought over some 2x6s. He's getting ready to cut them. I'll show you what he's doing with them in just a minute. They're going to be going up almost the rafter level from this post to this post, and then from there to there, and there to there. So this entire east side of the building will have a rim around it, acting sort of like a plate rail in an old house with plaster walls. It'll be a hanging or a nailer rod so that we have something to nail to if we ever want to hang shelving on the wall or hang pegboard or anything like that. We'll have a nailer up there on the inside to nail to, just like we did the boards you see here on the outside, so that we can attach things to it. We want to do that on the inside as well, but we didn't want to do it far down the wall because it would be in our way. And if we have a 2x6 up there, that's adequate to hang stuff down from. So he's gonna be working on that, and then after that he'll be doing the racking in the ceiling for to go with this beam over here for our lumber storage, dry lumber storage, and shady lumber storage. Let's be real. This building probably won't be that hot, but it will be wonderfully cool. Like John and I are both, I've got mine rolled up, but we're in long sleeves and even sweatshirts in the morning in here, even though it's in the 70s and 80s right now. If you're out of the sun, it's quite cool in here, and that's our goal with this building, is to have a shady workspace. So that's what he's gonna be doing. I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. He's measuring for it now and putting up his ledger block to hold it so that I can keep mudding and stay out of his way. And I'll show you in a little bit what it looks like as he keeps working. All right, here it is. He's putting this one up over here. It's gonna go all the way across at the level over here and interlock into the wall. So he's basically, I'll show you, he's face mounting these 2x6s to the 6x6 post in the wall. He's gonna do the same thing over there. And then I'm gonna, when my cob gets that high, I'm gonna cob up behind it and down in, just like I'm doing against these boards on the outside. And then we'll have that nailer situation, and these will go, it actually will also go on that end of the south wall. So all the walls except for that west wall where we'll have stuff like a little dog house and different things over here that we don't want to store things right there. We want free access to the space. So that's what we're working on. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done, and I'll try to show you some time lapse of the cob stuff going up. So we'll show you what that looks like. All right, I have made it over to there. I'm trying to get above the boards on all of this by the end of today. John is over here. He's made the first of two more little brackets basically to hold the lumber. So it'll go inside. You can see how he'll level it off there. And it's in line with this one down here. So we'll have 3 total, this one and 2 things he's making, probably scooched to one side or the other so that we can store our lumber over there. So it's exciting. And then they have, once I finish with this wall, he has one more of these nailer boards, kind of like I think it's like a picture rail. In an old house that has plaster walls, you have a picture rail where you can hang pictures without disturbing the plaster. So it's sort of that, not plate rail, like I said earlier, which I think the plate rail is similar functionality. But that is the bracket system. It's using a 2x4x8, it's a stud board, and then just some cut-offs from earlier on there, and he's just going to hang them up into the rafter so that we can have our dry lumber storage. Mainly it's shady lumber storage, let's be real. That's the thing that I'm sure it's bad for them to get wet too. But there's little Zippy. She's all tuckered out. She's helping us today. She woke up a minute ago like, wait, what's happening? So I'm gonna keep mixing cob and then make my way back over this way once John is done with those racks. Okay, we're back. This is how far I made it. I'm up to the wood over here. I have to let this part set up a little more before I can keep going. So I started that side. It's happening. And then John has finished the lumber rack, and we have lumber in it. He's got this piece of wood right here. I have moved it 85 times inside the Quonset hut. It's always like in front of something I need. And now they're going up on top. I'm so excited. And on these little pieces of board, we can actually put the smaller scraps, like these cutoffs and things that don't fit. But there's like, this right here is like a 4-foot span. These are 8-foot 2x4s up there that are getting out of the way now, which is very exciting. And then we have enough space to put like 12-footers or whatever we want in there, because it could go, if we could get it in the door at the angle or whatever, we could have lumber hanging out into the door space if we wanted to. So I'm super excited about that. He also finished and got the other like picture rail board over there. So it's coming along great. I'm going to keep on cobbing. I'll show you some of that on time lapse while John gathers more lumber and puts it up above our heads and out of the way and out of the sun and out of the rain. This is like one of my favorite things so far. I'm so excited. Okay, I am so excited. We have made tons of progress today. The clouds are rolling in. We're supposed to be getting some rain in the next couple days, which is exciting. I don't believe this is monsoon yet. It's always like a little tricky to tell. Monsoon's usually at least a month or so later, but every now and then before monsoon, we start getting threats. So this is very exciting. Because we actually have an easier preparation now for monsoon. So we got the rack done. We put all of our loose outdoor lumber plus some of it from inside the Quonset hut, and it's scraps from multiple projects. There's some white from our old tent project. There's some of the green from a solar array. There's tons of scraps, but it's still very useful if we can keep it, clean and dry and out of the sun. from warping. So you can see some of it's warped because it doesn't even stack properly anymore, but we'll still be able to use it for small things. I'm very excited about that being done. It's above my head. It's over 6 feet, so I can reach it from down here. But I'm not going to hit my head on it. Even when we put our floor mats in, I won't be hitting my head on that. So that's very exciting. On the cob south wall, I got all the way across the board on that side and almost over here. This is just a little too wet still to put another layer on it. Being that it's more humid outside, it's not drying quite as fast, so I just kept going that way. But it is quitting time today, and next time we'll be making more progress in here. We're so close to finishing. I'm less than a foot below the little ledger board things that we put in back there. I'm so excited to have this cooking right along. So we've got to do a couple more things. We need to put a handle on our door so that we can open it and close it easier. We need to finish up the tracks, like make them permanent. They're just hanging by a chain still right now. Of course, we need to finish cobbing. We're going to town tomorrow. It's supposed to be really windy, and we're going to get the floor mats for in here. And we already got there's Zippy. We already got some shelving to organize our tools and extra paint and all the junk that we're going to be stashing in here for the future. So we've got a lot to do still, but it is moving along, and I'm very excited. Thank you so much for joining us again for the progress that we made on this space today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I sure did. And I hope you come back next week and see what we get into here at Wiki Up Knoll.